Morning everyone, Nicholas Devine, Assistant Professional out here at Lake Coronet Country Club, and back today with another club review. Today we're going to be looking at the new Titleist hybrids, the H1 and H2. Let's see how they go. So firstly, as per usual, let's look at the technology of the head. But just as a reminder to you all, we're using this SkyTrack launch monitor to grab all the ball data today, and using Titleist NXT Tour S as our golf balls. Now first of all, let's have a closer look at the two heads, the H1 and the H2. Now both are very, very attractive looking heads, and you'll see that by the images coming up on the screen. The H2, slightly smaller head, H1 slightly bigger head. The way Titleist describe it is the H2 is more like an iron feel. So for a better player, or looking for a more of an iron look, so you're looking probably more at the better player, because this club is definitely not going to launch as high as the H1, simply because of the fact that the CG location won't be as far back as this one. So the H2 for me definitely aimed at the better player, and we'll see that once we start to hit that, because I'm expecting this one to fly a little bit lower than the H1. H2 comes in at 19 degrees, but it starts at 17, goes all the way up to 23, whereas the H1 starts at 19 degrees and goes all the way up to 27. So again, like I said, this is probably based, the H1's more based for slight height, high handicap player. There's an array of shafts, and you'll see them come up on the screen right now, and all these shafts are available in the Pro Shop for you to test. But there is a bigger smorgasbord of shafts, if you like, if you want to get into that market, and you'll have to probably see one of the Titleist reps if you want to try a bigger array of shafts. So again, if you're looking at the bottom active recoil channel, you'll find on both heads, again that's to create bigger ball speed, so the CLR is a little bit better, so you get a lot more spring off the face. So when they talk about smash factor, you get a lot more spring off the face, so the ball goes further. Also introduced into these clubs is the weighting system that you see through the toe, that you saw through the fairway woods in the last series that Titleist released. So now it's got a lot of adjustability, so not only do you have adjustability through the hosel, but now you actually have adjustability through the head. So now you can put those weighted systems through the head, and it can change the way. You can put a draw bias, a fade bias, or you can keep it quite neutral, and that will help change the ball flight. So if you're looking for a little bit more of a draw shape, you can put the draw weight in. If you're looking for a bit more of a fade, you can put a fade weight in. So that there is pretty good. So the technology in this head's pretty amazing, if you ask me, and they do look very amazing. I'm more based towards the H2 because it's that smaller head, and that's something what I prefer to look at. But for the average golfer, I think the H1 is really where it's going to sit for most golfers. So without any further ado, I'm going to get hitting with these. I'm going to be using the Tensei Blue shaft in a stiff flex, which is what's based best for me. It's a 70 gram hybrid shaft, and like I said, there is an array of shafts out there, and you know, when you're getting fit, make sure you actually pick the right shaft for yourself. But anyway, let's get into it. I'm going to hit the H2 first, and then we'll hit the H1, and I've both got them in 19 degrees of loft, so we can get some fairly comparative numbers. So stick around, let's get hitting. Alright, so here we go with the H2, and like I said, we're using the SkyTrack launch monitor here. Just bear with me with this. Apple seems to be having a little bit of trouble with their screen recording function, so I might have to nick down to my iPad after I hit every shot and take a screenshot just in case it's not working. But anyway, let's look at this head. It is, like I said, the smaller of the two heads, and it's something that I appreciate looking at a little bit more than the H1. But, and like I said, I'm expecting the ball flight to be a little bit lower in this. And right now I've actually just got it set on the neutral setting, or the neutral weight. So both are on the neutral weight, so we can get as best readings as we possibly can. Alright, let's get into it. Okay, not too bad start. Didn't actually get that one too well, so it'll be interesting to see how far it went. Oh, too bad, 215. So again, exactly as I expected, a slightly lower ball flight, but I haven't hit the H1 yet, so I can't really compare. But when you come back to the screen, you'll see that I've changed the color for when I hit the H1, and it should come up orange. Alright, let's just try again. So 215, not too bad of a start. Okay, I haven't hit that one too well again. As you can see, it's coming up as a big huge cut on the screen, and a little bit shorter. But effectively not a bad looking club. It feels really nice off the face, and it looks really nice. And with the tensile shaft, I like the new tensile shaft. I think from what I remember is, I haven't been with Titleist for a while, but they used to have the Diamana shaft as their standard shaft, and now they've moved to the tensile shafts, and you can get them in the irons as well, and it's a nice change, and it looks really nice. Again, not my best, slight cut again. See the figures come up on the screen, but not too bad. 205 yards, and I'm not too far offline. It's only saying about 29 yards offline. So not too bad. It feels good off the face, I've got to admit that. It does feel really nice off the face. Let's see if I can actually get a good swing together. Okay, that one's a little bit better. That one felt really solid off the face. Now let's hope it doesn't make a liar of me. 214, 97. So again, it's going to be interesting once I start hitting the H1 to see if there is a height difference, because really that's where it's going to come down to with these two models, is to see whether there is a height change. And because that's a slightly deeper head, I'm actually thinking that I'm going to see this one fly a lot higher. But if you're looking for a fairly penetrating looking hybrid, or looking for a hybrid that hits it out nice and low, I think Titleist have got this one right. It does come out nice and low, so you do get that penetrating flight. So I've hit that one a little bit low out of the face, and you'll see that come out low on the screen. Hopefully, if the screen recording's working. Anyway, I'll hit one more with this, and then we'll move on to the H1, which, like I said, I think is going to be a little bit more forgiving than this model. But like I said, if you're looking for a hybrid that comes out nice and low, here's one for you. Slightly better on that one. And let's look at the numbers. 211, 212. Now that's pretty good for me. That's what I expect to get out of a 19-degree hybrid. And like I said so many times before, I'm not a very long hitter, and I never have been. So that yardage for me is roughly about right, what I expect from a 19. Anyway, let's switch on to the H1. Give me a sec, because I'm going to have to pull the shaft out of this so we can get as close data as we possibly can between the two, and I'll be back with you in a sec. Okay, now back with the H2, and I think I didn't mention before, I've actually got these set on A1, so very neutral setting. Just thought I'd better add that in, because people might think I've got it on a different setting. So no, we're on A1, which is the standard setting for Titleist. Alright, H2. Okay, straight away, a lot bigger head, okay, a lot deeper back. So again, I'm expecting the CG location to be further back, so I'm expecting the ball to fly a lot higher. Same shaft. I'm going to change quickly on here the color so that we can see it, and hopefully that will mark up as a different color. Yeah, and straight away a lot higher ball flight, just exactly as I expected. Be interested to see. Funny enough, it's gone a little bit further, probably because it stayed up in the air just that little bit longer. So there's a funny thing, you know, you're looking at hybrids, people think, you know, if you can keep it low it's going to go further, but not necessarily the case. You know, the higher the ball flight, the longer it stays up in the air. So the carry distance of this was a little bit longer than the H2, and then overall the distance was longer. So let's hit a few more shots. But a lot higher ball flight. Lot higher ball flight. But again, definitely longer. It's funny, sometimes I think the bigger the head, the more confidence you get in hitting a club, and then I'm probably swinging a little bit harder than the last one. But I won't really know that until I see the averages at the end. So I prefer the look of the H2, but the H1 seems to be working a little bit better. And there's probably a good reason for that, because I don't play as much golf as I used to. Like they're saying, you know, if you can find a golf club out there that's a little bit more forgiving, then why not use it? But again, like I said, a higher ball flight. So if it gets a little bit windy, this could hurt you a little bit. I'm very impressed by the club. It's amazing. Feels great off the face. So if you're looking for a hybrid, don't look too much further than Titleist hybrids. They feel good, they look good, and they work really well. And with the amount of adjustability available in these heads, with the draw bias, with the hosel, and then with the weighting system through the head, you know, you've got an array of things on this club that you can change to try and get a desired ball flight. Now that wasn't my best. That one came out a little bit low and a little bit right, as you can see. But very, very forgiving, this model. I haven't hit too far offline, so it's pretty good. Hit one more. Again, a little bit low and right, but again, still very, very forgiving. I mean, I haven't really hit any of these shots too far offline, and I'm on the fairway. But anyway, there you go. H1, H2. H1, high ball flight. H2, lower ball flight. If you're in windy conditions, I'd definitely get the H2, but you also got to realize that getting the H2, you're not going to get that array of forgiveness that you will out of the H1. You could possibly change a shaft in the H1 to make it fly out a little bit lower, but H1 definitely there for the slightly high handicapper who's looking for that little bit more forgiveness. There you go, Titleist H1, H2. Amazing hybrids that look amazing too. Anyway, make sure you like, hit the subscribe button. It's free to do, it's just there to give you a notification of when the next video comes up, and we'll see you next time on ND.